Nothing worthwhile. Mediocre podcasting. Today, tomorrow, forever.
For centuries, the Society of the Black Dragon has sanctioned an ancient rite of combat, known as the Kumite, open only to the world's most lethal warriors. It has never been won by a Westerner.
You are not Japanese. I can do it.
Now, for the first time, the true story of American super agent Frank Dukes can be revealed.
Uncle Sam can't afford to let you get hurt.
I'm going to Hong Kong.
Frank is going to fight in the Kumite, and we're here to stop him.
An awesome human weapon.
It hurts me just looking at it.
Who infiltrates the Chinese underworld.
I did not come this far to stop now.
Take him.
To enter a forbidden competition.
Couldn't you just get me in?
Strict rules, no press.
You telling me you never break rules?
Where every fighting style, every worthy opponent, every deadly technique clash in savage combat.
Time to separate the men from the boys.
And only one will triumph. Now I will break you. International martial arts sensation Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport. The true story of the ultimate champion.
Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network studios, It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Kumite, kumite,
Kumite, kumite, kumite, kumite, kumite, kumite, kumite, kumite. Are we on? Kumite.
We're on, baby.
Kumite,
We're on.
kumite, kumite. All the single guys. Kumite, kumite, kumite. All the single ladies. Kumite, kumite. All the bald white guys with big bellies. Kumite, kumite, kumite. Fight for your life. Kumite, kumite, kumite. All right, let's bring it all back to
Let's
square one.
bring it back.
No retreat.
No surrender.
Yes, everybody, live via Zoom. It is our newest podcast venture from Nothing Worthwhile. Evan Moody, Phoenix, Arizona on the West Coast. Braxton Puppy Shango laying on the floor right next to me. Let's bring in my best friend, my partner in crime, Andrew Gruthius, Coral Springs, Florida on the East Coast. Groo, Van Dammit. How the hell are you, my friend?
Van Damn beautiful, pal.
A special Wednesday night taping.
Yes, because we haven't been up for long enough, and it is an hour earlier.
It is actually. It's better for us now.
Yes, I think. No, it feels like it's an hour later.
Well, that's because you lost an hour. But right now, between the East Coast and West Coast, generally speaking, it's a 2-hour time difference.
Well, that is true, but I'm still fucking exhausted.
How's everything going?
Everything's great. It's middle of the week at work, although we're off tomorrow for Veterans Day. Thank you.
So are we?
The troops.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Looking forward to this for a while. We've been talking about it, and I'm very excited to be doing this finally. In the next, we're 10 days away from New York, our big New York show.
Yes, Andrew was referring to our annual New York trip. It was canceled last year due to COVID, but we will be back next weekend in our home state of New York City, specifically Merrick, Long Island, New York. Andrew and I will be reuniting in the neutral grounds of the Hasselbein home, and we'll talk more about our Nothing Worthwhile live from New York podcast next weekend. But I am actually excited for Bloodsport. I watched it twice on HBO Max. Thank you very much, Andrew Gruthius.
Wait, you can't tell them. You can't. See, now we're in trouble.
Why is that?
You can't. I mean, isn't it like illegal to do that?
Oh,
I give you your password or something. You give you my password.
Well, well, let me ask you a question. On HBO Max, are you allowed to have a certain number of people on one account?
I guess because I share it with my family.
Yeah. So.
All right, let's change topics here. I don't want to get.
Yeah, let's. Let's not get bogged down. We want to thank Ryan Rabalkin and the last.
Give
of
me
the
that Paramount
podcast.
Plus password back too.
Yes. No, don't have that. But we want to thank Ryan and the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network for giving us another great opportunity to present ourselves, hopefully to a larger audience. Enjoy certainly the Facebook Messenger, the insane rants of everyone on Facebook Messenger. But Groo, we seem to have done a pretty good job on the website. I don't know if you went on the podcast website, but we had certainly a lot more downloads there than we typically have through our general nothing worthwhile, desolate audience.
That's too bad. I kind of like the idea of us just talking to each other for no reason and nobody listening. But if people want to listen to this nonsense, I'd say, fine. Just we'll tell you where to send the checks.
There you go. Groo, last month was our pilot episode for Nothing Worthwhile Presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. We tackled 1986 No Retreat, No Surrender. As we said before, today we're going to discuss and break down 1988's Jean-Claude breakthrough, perhaps classic Bloodsport. But Groo, it's time for our new segment. It's Van Dammit, Blood In, Blood Out.
Nothing Worthwhile presents Blood In, Blood Out.
Groo, Blood In, Blood Out is brought to you by New You Life Center. Begin a new you. Check out all of their medical weight loss programs at www.newyoulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU lifecenters.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. You know what you need to tell them. Moody and Groo sent you, and receive a big 15% off your first service. A big Van Dammit thank you to New You Life Center. Groo, in honor of the title Bloodsport, I'm going to ask you trivia questions based on the science of blood.
Oy vey. Science? Really? On this podcast?
Well, yeah, let's have some fun.
Okay.
Let's see what you know about blood.
I don't believe in science. I believe in Joe Rogan.
Okay. All right, thank you. Actually, I do believe in Joe Rogan. So there you go. I do love him. Actually, I went to UFC. We watched UFC. I'm actually starting to like UFC. I don't know if this is if WWE is in any imminent danger, but we watched UFC 268. You would love this place in the city of Chandler. It's cold beer and cheeseburgers. Cold beer and cheeseburgers.
Love it already.
Yeah, it was pretty good. All right, Groo, question number 1. Which of the following blood cells actually carry the oxygen to your cells? Is it white blood cells, red blood cells, platelets, or neutrophils? Which of the following blood cells actually carry the oxygen to your cells? Is it white blood cells, red blood cells, platelets, or neutrophils?
I'm going to say red blood cells.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
All right, Braxton, lock him in on red blood cells.
I know.
Groo, you are correct. It is red blood cells.
Nice.
Yes.
Awesome.
Red blood cells use hemoglobin to carry the oxygen to your cells.
So that would be the first science question I've ever gotten right in my life. That's including every class I failed in middle school, high school, and beyond.
Well, let's see if you can get your second science question related. Okay.
Let's go.
Question number 2. Which of the following assist in clotting wounds? Is it A, red blood cells? Is it B, platelets? Is it C, white blood cells? Or is it D, neutrophils? Which of the following assist in clotting wounds?
I believe it's D, neutrophils. Final answer.
Is that Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
Braxton, lock him in. Oh, he just peed all over the floor. Okay.
That's a lock-in.
The correct answer, Andrew, is platelets.
Platelets.
Without properly functioning platelets, your blood will not clot. This is a disorder known as hemophilia.
Huh.
Hemophilia. All right, this is going over like a lead balloon.
Hemophilia.
I got beat up in middle school. I said, "You're a hemophilia, dude."
No, just you're saying it like.
All right.
It's been a long day. It's been a long.
Isn't that what they Isn't that what they accused Dave Chappelle of? Hemophilia.
Yes, that's exactly what it's all about.
All right. Question number 3.
Well, come on, I can do this. I'm better than this.
All right, let's get serious. Come on. What molecule in the blood carries oxygen?
Shit.
Is it A, chlorophyll, B, hemoglobin, C, factor X, or D, insulin? What molecule in the blood carries oxygen? A, chlorophyll, B, hemoglobin, C, factor X, D, insulin. Talk us through this one.
Hemoglobin is related to blood sugar, I believe, and that's also related to insulin. But your body needs to produce insulin to do something. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go with insulin.
Come on! I'd say you have to. All right.
Wait, what? You didn't ask me if I wanted my final answer.
Well, all right, fine. Come on, that's blood sugar. Is insulin? Get rid of insulin. What molecule in the blood carries oxygen?
All right.
Chlorophyll, hemoglobin. All right,
so I took the
factor
50-50. I'm taking the 50-50.
Take the 50-50.
Getting rid of hemoglobin and insulin.
Yep.
Okay, so now we've got chlorophyll and factor X. I'll say chlorophyll.
Isn't chlorophyll the stuff in plants that make sugar? That's the food in plants?
I thought chlorophyll was the shit that you use to, like, make costumes or, like, plaster or something. Like chloroplast, I guess. That's what
we just went from 158 downloads in India to 8. The correct answer, Andrew, is hemoglobin. Iron is used to manufacture hemoglobin, which is why iron-deficient people are anemic.
Well,
I don't even know what that means. Oh, shit. All right, next question. We got 2 more. What is the most common blood type? Is it A, O positive? Is it B, B positive? Is it C, A negative? This one's a hard one. Or D, O negative. What is the most common blood type? O positive, B positive, A negative, O negative.
I think it's either the most common.
Most common. About 38% of the population has this blood type. O positive, B positive, A negative, O negative.
I think it's type O negative. I think it's type O negative.
All right, is that your final answer?
I'll tell you why after you tell me if I'm right or wrong. That's my final answer.
Is that your final answer?
It's my final
all right, Braxton, lock him in on a O negative. Andrew, the correct answer is O positive.
O positive. Oh. I'll tell you why. I was actually literally yesterday. I was watching something. I forgot what it was, but somebody had there was some action in a hospital, and the movie Heat. I was watching the movie Heat, and it was the scene,
great movie,
and the scene where he finds Al Pacino finds Natalie Portman in the bathtub, and she's in the hospital, and she's lost a lot of blood because she slit her wrists, and I remember the doctor saying I need 2 units of. I guess it was O positive. I thought he had said O negative, so I was like, well, I guess if you need blood, you're going to ask for the most common type. So
what is that? What is that great? Do you know that great quote from De Niro where he talks about you have to leave something at the drop of a hat?
Yeah, it's like you can't attach yourself. You can't don't attach yourself to anything in your life that you're not prepared to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you can spot the heat around the corner. Something like that.
I love that.
Yeah,
love that line.
Great movie. Anyway,
all right.
Last question. The science.
This is I know.
The science
this is a hard one.
It's doing what it did to me in high school.
According to a popular idiom, what vegetable is it impossible to squeeze blood from? Is it A, a potato, B, a turnip, C, a cabbage, or D, a rutabaga?
What?
According to a popular idiom, what vegetable? It's a saying. What vegetable is it impossible to squeeze blood from? It's a goofy question. I'm not. Believe me.
Say the four again quickly.
A potato, a turnip, a cabbage, or a rutabaga.
I thought the saying was blood from a stone.
That was the Stone Cold
turnip.
Bret Hart match.
Turnip. Final answer. Turnip. Final answer.
Braxton Lockerman on a turnip. You are correct.
Yes, finally. Yes.
It's impossible to squeeze blood from a turnip.
Thank you.
And it's impossible to squeeze blood from this segment. That was everyone. Blood in, blood out. All right. All right, Andrew. We have just. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say sorry, Ryan, but we'll do better.
I had such high hopes for the material for this episode. Andrew,
Look,
we
science is now doing to me what it did to me in high school. Makes me want to run out of the room and smoke a cigarette. That was my high school experience in science class.
Please, we don't. Please, no vices here. It was all for fun. Groo, we have even more for our listeners. It's time for our latest Jean-Claude Van Damme updates. It's Van Dammit News.
Get your latest Jean-Claude Van Damme update. It's Van Dammit News.
Today's Van Dammit News is brought to you by New Life Center. The journey is everything. Phoenix Entrepreneur Magazine named them in the top 15 med spas to watch in 2021. Check out all of their medical aesthetics and cosmetic injectables at www.newulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU lifecenters.com, or give them a call. You know the number, 602-274-0068. Tell them that Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Thank you, New You Life Center. Groo, it was a happy 61st birthday to the Muscles from Brussels, Jean-Claude Van Damme, as Jean-Claude celebrated his 61st birthday.
He's from
on
Brussels?
Yeah, Jean-Claude, you knew that.
I just watched Bloodsport. He plays Frank Dukes from Vegas.
Well, that's what we call a little creative license. Oh, and he's so American in that movie, by the way. He's like,
I know. That's why I was confused. Well, I'm sorry.
It was JCVD's birthday, his 61st birthday last. Well, we're going back a little bit. Monday, October 25th, 61. He even got a shout out from fellow action star Chuck Norris. Groo, Belgian actor, martial artist Jean-Claude Van Damme is known for his roles in the popular 1980s and 1990s action films Cyborg, Kickboxer, Lionheart, Death Warrant, Double Impact, Universal Soldier, Street Fighter, Sudden Death, among others. And he celebrated his 61st birthday in a white terry cloth robe in Paris, France. And he posted this video on Instagram. Please refer to your screen right now. Here's Jean-Claude. 61st
well, they can't see it, but I can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. What are those little watermelons on the thing?
Looks like strawberries.
Strawberries.
And ooh,
that's how fires start. You just toss the lit match.
Today's my birthday, and I would like to enjoy that with everybody around the world. My name is JCVD for Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I'm wishing happy birthday to everybody on 18th of October around the world. I love you guys, and thank you for all those years of support. Without you, I would not be Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah.
What do you think? That's kind of a nice touch. What do you...
Who would he be? Mike Davis from Omaha? Well, I mean, who would he be? No, that was very nice. Yeah, 61. The only reason I would think he'd be older is because to me he's been around forever. But
he has been around forever.
Yeah, no, but it seems like he's like sort of not quite. I guess he is the generation, the movie generation of like Stallone and Schwarzenegger and those guys, but not age-wise though. Like they're good. What they got a good like 15, almost 20 years on them, don't they?
I mean, you're putting Jean-Claude. I mean, this is. Well, sure, it's a Jean-Claude podcast. Do you put Jean-Claude on the same level as Stallone and Schwarzenegger? Because I put him a notch below.
A notch below.
In all respect.
Yeah. A notch below, but still part of the same sort of Expendables. Let's call him the Expendables tribe. Like he's part of the Expendables, and that's he's one of the novelty names that they bring in, who are usually the older guys like Chuck Norris and Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, all those guys. I'm not talking about like Terry Crews and them, but that's very nice. He's sharing it with the world. He must be very lonely. I'm sorry.
Well, first of all, Terry Crews. I don't include Terry Crews on any list.
No, I meant the because he was in the Expendables. I don't put him in that category. I put him in the.
You mentioned Chuck Norris.
Yes.
We know that Jean-Claude worked as a bouncer at a bar owned by Chuck Norris, and Jean-Claude also worked with the stunt team on Norris's 1984 film. I didn't know this, Missing in Action. So when Van Damme posted that video that we just watched online, Chuck Norris, who is now 81 years old, posted a "Happy Birthday, my friend," and on Instagram. And then when a fan responded and asked Chuck if he could still hit the boxing bag, Chuck responded, "I gave it a shot, and this is the result. It's been a while, but it felt great." Andrew, refer to your screen. Here's an 81-year-old Chuck Norris hitting the heavy bag. That's not bad, huh?
I think that's a beautifully put together toupee.
I was just going to say his hairline.
You meant the punching. That's very good for an
No, his punching is pretty good, but his hairline is very suspicious.
Yeah, but
81-year-old.
But what do you expect? But that's pretty cool. Why don't we hear from him anymore? Like, is he like
Chuck?
retired?
Well, he's 81 years old. I mean, what are you expecting? I mean,
I'm not hitting a bag like that. He could throw a couple of fake grenades, or, like what he used to do. Like, where's Brad?
I feel like the last thing. I feel like the last thing legitimately I saw Chuck do was he was on the infomercial for like that Total Body Gym with Christy Brinkley. It's like
20 years ago already.
All right, that's what I'm saying.
The last movie besides the Expendables was like that. I remember talking about it last week or last time. Sidekicks.
But how many years ago was that?
That was like early 90s, so 25 years ago, more than that. Wow. All right, this is depressing me.
That's the last sort of big movie that Chuck did. Your memory.
Well, then he did Walker Texas Ranger forever. So. Oh wow.
And that's it for Entertainment Tonight. This shit sucks. Crew, let's get to it. Today's Van Dammit podcast, Jean-Claude Van Damme's Bloodsport, is brought to you by New You. Fuck it. All right, just let's get to the damn movie. We've had more stop starts than Van Halen.
Marie, I had nothing to do with that botched
Got me a date with a supermodel. Okay, Bloodsport Groo is a 1988 American martial arts action film directed by Newt Arnold. I love at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. He goes, "It's a Newt Arnold film." Wow,
a Newt Arnold picture.
Yeah, it stars Jean-Claude Van Damme, Donald Gibb, Leia Ayres,
Ogre himself. Although, as I like to call him, Dr. Death. What's that from?
Ooh, Dr.
You remember him? Remember him as Dr. Death? Oh, come on. Come on.
Jesus, I'm...
Sports.
First and 10?
Yes, there you go. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Crew, this film is partly based on unverified claims made by martial artist Frank Dux. Bloodsport is generally thought grew to be Jean-Claude Van Damme's first starring film.
All right, if this is a true story, I weigh 175. All right.
All right, well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. All right, let's get back on track here. It's the first film in the Bloodsport franchise, which we will not break down today's podcast. We will go to the original Bloodsport. Groo, there's not a lot of backstory on the production side of Bloodsport. We do know that credited co-writer Sheldon Lettich came up with the idea for the film. Now, you asked about Frank Dux. Quote from Sheldon, "I had known Frank Dux for a number of months. Frank Dux, a number of months before I came up with Dukes with the idea of Bloodsport. Frank told me a lot of tall tales, most of which turned out to be bullshit. Well, his stories about participating in the so-called Kumite event sounded like a great idea for a movie. There was one guy who he introduced me to named Richard Bender. That's Dick Bender."
Hey!
Who claimed to have actually been at the Kumite event. Groo, didn't we go to Kumite in 2011? We had row F seats 11 and 12.
Of course we did. We paid $700 a piece for that.
So Frank swore, everything about Kumite was true. A few years later, this guy, meaning Richard Dick Bender, had a falling out with Frank and confessed to me that everything he told me about Kumite was a lie, that Frank coached him in what to say. So I was thinking about this. Groo, when you see in these movies based on true events,
yeah,
you've had your toe in the Hollywood pool. How true are Hollywood productions when, I know it may be a dumb question, but when it says based on true events, movies like The Strangers, all this based on true events, just how true are true events in Hollywood?
I would say an average of 35 to 40% true. There are some that really stick to the narrative, but there are those that just take the framework of the story and go their own way with it. I think Goodfellas is an example of that. They saw an interesting little tidbit in a speck of the mafia and said, let's examine this and put a a lens on this. So I don't think they're inspired based on a true story, inspired by true events. I'd say average 40 to 45% of it is true.
Okay, that sounds like a good number. Groo, producer Mark DeSalle said he was looking
but that doesn't mean that this one.
Oh my God! Do you not hear me move on? Why would he do that to me? I feel like we're back to the first podcast.
That doesn't mean that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Bloodsport, I'd say, is about negative 4% true. There's no way. There's no fucking way. All right, but keep going. Keep going.
I can't wait to talk about this in a little more detail.
Keep going.
Producer Mark DeSalle said he was looking for a, quote, new martial arts star who was a ladies' man who appeals both to men and women. And that's Van Damme. Groo, Van Damme is bi-appealing.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I mean, look, I'm not into dudes, but he's a handsome guy, and he is ripped. I mean, I didn't realize, we've been watching him all these years, and I haven't seen this movie in a while. Dude, what I could have done if I had that kind of physique with my life, I felt really, really. I mean, I already feel really, really, depressed. But
like insecure.
Insecure. When I saw that, I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm ever leaving the house again.
Let me ask you a question. I just thought of this question. Do you think Van Damme was on something performance enhancing for the filming? Because he is pretty ripped here. He's a young dude. He's probably in his early 30s here. Remember, he's a little older than we think because he did No Retreat, No Surrender at 28. So he's probably maybe 29, 30 here.
He's if he's on anything, he's probably on whatever the stuff was that was legal at the time that isn't now. But I'd believe him if he said he wasn't on anything because it does look pretty natural. He's not like he doesn't have a 24 pack. It's more bulk than it's more. He's just in incredible shape. And how much longer are we going to keep talking about his body?
I don't know. Jean-Claude.
I would say he's pretty. I would say he's. He probably was on some harmless supplements that helped his body recover from work.
Well, they do play up. The movie does play up somewhat. His sex appeal. I mean,
that's true.
The scene where he's at the hotel with Leia Ayers and he walks in his underwear. Marie walked by and she was like, "Oh my God!" Like Jean-Claude's in his underwear.
Well,
I of course was sucking my thumb intently right in front of the screen. I was like,
I mean, I wore out the knob on the remote on that one. I was going back and forth in there. Leia Ayers, I actually recognized her from somewhere, but we're going
to talk about her. Hold your thoughts on Miss Ayers. We'll talk about her in a little bit.
Okay.
Actually, tomorrow I have off for Veterans Day. I think what I'm going to do, talking about all this sex appeal. I'm going to go to my cable. I'm going to hit numbers 3 and 5 on the box and jiggle the little tuner and see if I can get Playboy Channel illegally.
Remember, you had to have one kid stand on the roof and point the thing in the right direction, and the other guy. Oh God, it reminds me of backless couches.
Well, Andrew mentioned Leia Ayres, so let's take a look at Actually, a look-see at the very underrated cast of Bloodsport. I was really very much pleasantly surprised when I took a look at the cast. Obviously, we have Jean-Claude Van Damme as Frank Dukes. And let's talk about, Groo mentioned him a little bit, Donald Gibb as Ray Jackson. Groo, best known for his roles as the hulking, dim-witted fraternity brother Ogre in several installments of the Revenge of the Nerds film series.
That's right, Ogre.
He's Kumite fighter Ray Jackson, of course, in Bloodsport. And as Leslie Dr. Death Crunchner on the amazingly underrated HBO sitcom First and 10. Groo, I wrote in my notes, Donald Gibb, the lovable 80s quintessential meathead. Groo, give us some thoughts overall on Donald Gibb. He had a nice run in Hollywood.
He's still alive?
I believe he is. I did look at his IMDb.
He's great. He was great. I mean... I can name, let's see, he was in Revenge of the Nerds as Ogre. He was in First and 10. He was in, he was he was in, one of those late night softcore or whatever. It was called Stewardess School. That's what it was called. It's about a bunch of dimwits, pilots who crash a jet and then have to go to learn how to be stewardesses.
Let's get it. I'm getting a little sweaty.
One of those.
I'm getting a little sweaty. Hold on.
I think he was in that one. But he was. For me, he's always Dr. Death. He was in an episode of Cheers. I remember. But yeah, very, very recognizable. I mean, look, Revenge of the Nerds. Is a huge hit.
Would you say he kind of had a little while the market on the lovable meathead, the lovable lunkhead sort of deal?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he wasn't. I don't know. I can only seem to think of 3 things I've seen him in, even though even though I feel like I know the guy. But I mean, look, like we said, Revenge of the Nerds was known huge. All over the world, and he was in a whole bunch of those sequels that I didn't see, but some people saw. So he had a mini run, which was nice.
So in the second Revenge of the Nerds, there's a great scene where it's a long camera shot, and two of the characters are talking, and Ogre had just finished a beer binge, and they show him at a urinal, and he's just at the urinal for like 5 minutes, and you could just see him in the background, but he's peeing forever, and it's a really funny shot. Of course, I've
never seen it. I've never seen it.
Of course, that delivers a zero response from Andrew. But thank you.
I've never seen it. Is it worth watching? Is that movie worth watching?
I would say the second one was okay, and then it tails off.
That's the one with Courtney Thorne-Smith, right?
Oh yeah, she was.
I love her.
Groo, you mentioned Leah Ayres as Janice Kent. Obviously, Leah Ayres was also Valerie Bryson on the daytime serial The Edge of the Night. In 1984.
Wait. Because I don't know where you're going with this, but I remember her from a movie that
Go ahead.
I still to this day believe I'm the only one who in the entire world who has seen this movie. And I remember renting it. I remember renting it from Blockbuster Video. And I have it. I own it streaming now. It is a movie called Eddie Macon's Run, starring John Schneider and Kirk Douglas, from like 1983 or 2 or 4 or whatever. Nobody I've ever met in my life has ever seen this movie or even heard of it. But she was in that movie. She played John Schneider's wife. That's where I remember her.
Eddie Macon's Run.
Eddie Macon's Run. Do you have that there?
No, I have the following. I didn't take everything. She in 1984 starred in Velvet, which was an ABC Aaron Spelling television movie. She co-starred as Linda Bowman in the abbreviated third season of ABC's 9 to 5, the television adaptation. She also played Jill Schrader on the HBO original comedy First and 10 with Bloodsport alumni Donald Gibb in 1986-1987. This caught my eye. In 1990, Groo, she replaced Maureen McCormick for the role of Marsha Brady on the short-lived series The Bradys. She also made guest appearances on television series Hotel, Love Boat, Fantasy Island, Married with Children, and Who's the Boss. In 1995, she had a recurring role as Tara Flynn on 3 episodes of the Chuck Norris-helmed Walker, Texas Ranger. Nice presence, Leah Ayres. Groo, she plays the very pretty, somewhat damsel in distress here quite well. Groo, any thoughts on Leah Ayres?
She was beautiful, and I mean, I can see why Frank Dukes fell in love with her within 4 seconds, because they were practically married by the time the the morning came, and then that ass shot with the speedos. But she was it was an interesting character. She was a player. She was trying to get into the what's it called again? Kumite. So she screwed him. He didn't help her. Then she went and started screwing that other guy, who took her in. And she played it off nicely. She was good. I'm surprised she didn't have more of a career. Very, very, very beautiful.
Yes, Andrew.
But yes, that is that what it was? Yeah, that.
Yeah. The fist thing. Norman Burton as CID agent Helmner. I'm not going to give you everything on Norman Burton. He actually played the hunt leader, the gorilla in the science fiction film Planet of the Apes. Norman Burton played Felix Leitner in the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever in 1971. He played Will Giddings, the ill-fated engineer in the action film The Towering Inferno. I remember that as a kid in 1974. He was also in Gumball Rally 1976, Crimes of Passion 1984, Deep Space 1988. He also played Interagency Defense Command Supervisor Joe Atkinson in the second season of Wonder Woman with Linda Carter. And he made it most famously known as Burt Dennis in the situation comedy The The Ted Knight Show, and also played Dr. Green, Natalie's father, in the television series The Facts of Life.
That's where I remember him from, The Facts of Life. Did I just say that out loud on the air?
Oh, God, he doesn't give me... Any thoughts on Norman Burt, Agent Helmer from Bloodsport?
I mean, he was... This is where, like I said, the only place I've ever seen him before is The Facts of Life. But he was kind of funny in this. Him and Forrest Whitaker. I know you'll go over Forrest Whitaker, but they had fun with these nonsense roles that whatever they are. But they were pretty good. They were pretty good, and I have to say, they must have broken some kind of record for like the best time filler in a movie ever.
Can I guess what you're going to say?
Go. Yeah.
Is it that ridiculous chase scene?
Yep. That like 2-year-old little chase scene where he's running from them constantly, and it just literally it's there just to kill time. But the reason that it's so great is because it's still fun to watch, and it doesn't. It's got nothing to do with the plot. There's no reason for it to exist, and yet it's good for a laugh, and the music is fun. So that's why to me it's like the greatest time filler ever.
It felt like almost a chase scene from Family Guy, where it's like all of a sudden the person getting chased is chasing. It's just like all over the place with little comedic elements. Yeah, I agree. I was like, why is this even in here? It's funny how I recognize that.
There's no way that was in the original script. I would be shocked if that was in the original script.
Groo, Forrest Whitaker is CID agent Rollins. Groo, he's definitely the most accomplished of the bunch. Forrest Whitaker Groo has won an Academy Award, a Golden Globe Award, a British Academy Film Award, and 2 Screen Actors Guild Award. Groo, real quick, Forrest Whitaker made his film debut in 1982, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, listen to some of the films he has worked in: Good Morning Vietnam, The Crying Game, Platoon, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, The Great Debaters, Arrival, Respect. He's also appeared in such big-time blockbuster films such as Panic Room, which I really super liked, with Jodie Foster, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and Black Panther. For his portrayal of Ugandan dictator Idi Amin in the British historical film drama The Last King of Scotland, 2006. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor. He's directed television. He's directed movies. 1985's Waiting to Exhale. 1998's Hope Floats. And 2004's First Daughter. Forrest Whitaker Groo, pretty stellar resume. Any thoughts on Mr. Whitaker?
Yes. Forrest Whitaker, he's a guy who he's one of those actors who will never, ever not be able to get a job somewhere working as an actor. Because he's been in, Academy Award-winning movies like Good Morning Vietnam and The Last King of Scotland, which he won for. But he'll also do piece of shit movies when he needs to. You just mentioned 1/10 of his filmography, I'm sure.
Right.
And I actually did a movie. I worked on a movie with him, and he's such a nice, down-to-earth guy. People love working with him. It makes things very easy on a set. Very personable. And he just has, I think he has a certain level of respect in the industry where he will always be someone, you say, we got Forrest Whitaker, it'll be like, we're in good shape. He's a fantastic actor. I think so.
Let me follow up on what you said. You just talked about Forrest Whitaker as a nice guy. I'm curious, as an outsider on a film set, he's certainly an A-level actor. What are the kind of things he says or does where you go, wow, this guy's a nice guy. He hasn't let the fame go to his head too much.
He shows up at a hotel room party that one of the crew is having just says to a bunch of people, hey, anybody want to come hang out? Come to this room tonight. We're going to have food. We're going to have beer, whatever. And he just comes and hangs out with everybody. and he talks to everybody. He's one of the guys does not need the camera or the attention on him at all times. And I remember, I sat with him for like 2 minutes, just having a beer and just bullshitting. He's one of the. He fits in very well, and I mean I think that's an interesting quality for somebody of that. I mean, he's pretty big stature, but he's very down to earth and
all right,
cool guy.
Here's my last question before we move on. I don't want any explanation. What percentage of fairly big Hollywood actors would you consider nice in that same realm of Forrest Whitaker? You've been on a couple of sets. What percentage did you say out of 100 would you say were pretty decent, self-effacing, nice folks?
I want to say 50 to 60%.
50 or 15?
50, 50.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
50 to 60%.
Groo, finally, I want to talk about Bolo Young. He started as a competitive bodybuilder. He's certainly big here. Martial artist and a martial arts film actor. He's usually cast as the villain in the movies in which he stars. He's best known for his performances as Bolo in Enter the Dragon, starring Bruce Lee. Of course, Chong Li in Bloodsport, and Chang Li in Blood Fight. He's made numerous appearances. He's had numerous appearances in a long career, and definitely in these Hong Kong martial art films. I've always seemed to think of Bolo Young, like if I thought about Donald Gibb, I think of Bolo Young as the quintessential Asian martial arts villain. Groo, any thoughts on Bolo Young?
Are you telling me before this movie you knew who Bolo Young was?
I did know Bolo Young. Absolutely.
I did not.
Do I know him? Do I know his filmography? No, but do I know Bolo Young as that big, thick, badass Asian actor? Hell
yeah. He looked. I didn't try to, but I wouldn't be able to place him. And the name did not ring a bell. Is he in something? Is he in anything bigger than this? Bigger than Bloodsport that you could think of? That I would know.
Oh, fucking put me on the spot right now.
It's a science question.
Hit pause. I'll go to it. No, I would say I don't know.
What do you mean? We're live.
I feel like I've seen Bolo in a lot of like sort of martial arts movies, and he's always the bad guy. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just like when you say Donald Gibb, I think of 80s thick, lovable lunkhead, lovable bully, lovable big, broad, country western kind of guy. Bolo Young, I think of like the quintessential 80s villain, and I want to talk about him a little bit more in depth as Chong Li. So, any other thoughts on Bolo? Otherwise, I'm going to move on.
Since you're going to talk about Chong Li, I'll save it for that because it's got to do with like the dubbing and everything.
Groo, let's go to the plot for Bloodsport. We get an opening montage of diverse fighters from all over the world. Of course, it's a Newt Arnold film. And Groo, U.S. Army Captain Frank Dux has trained in the way of ninjutsu under his sensei, Senzo Tanaka. Groo, we go back in a flashback and we see Dukes and a group of his friends break into Tanaka's home to steal a katana, which is an ancient Japanese sword. Dukes is apprehended, but he decides to return the katana to its place. Impressed by Frank Dukes' integrity and toughness, Senzo decides to train him alongside his son Shingo. We see that Shingo eventually dies, and Senzo trains Dukes as a member of the Tanaka clan. Dukes is invited to the Kumite, an illegal martial arts tournament in Hong Kong. After his army superiors refuse to let him go, Dukes goes absent without leave, says goodbye to his sensei, and leaves for Hong Kong. Of course, we have two criminal investigative command agents, Helmner and Rollins, are assigned to track down and arrest Dukes. Groo, that gives us the opening opening quarter of the movie. The army guy goes into the showers and sees the showers running, and out goes Jean-Claude. Any thoughts on the opening setup of the film?
Well, it was interesting because I got a little confused because after he escapes, he stops and then he's reminiscing about when he was a kid. But the flashback never really ends. it never really comes back to that point where he's just standing there thinking. Unless I missed something. Did you get that?
Are you actually like detailing a plot hole?
It's not so much a plot hole. It's just like somebody forgot that the whole movie was a flashback. I was
well,
like,
it's almost
I just feel like. Go ahead.
I feel like I said that about No Retreat, No Surrender, and you went, the whole movie's a plot hole, Moody. What the hell? You know?
Yes. But I'm just trying to remember because he's standing there thinking about when he was younger, and that the boy who played the young Van Damme definitely
terrible
knocked it out of the park right
yeah.
Well, you can't blame him because number one, his voice was dubbed by I think the guy who did the voice for Oscar the Grouch or something, and but plus, I mean, this is who they're casting. Are they trying to show us that Van Damme was once a scrawny, geeky Howard Stern looking kid, who's just completely awkward? So that was, but the interesting part is Van Damme is reminiscing about all this. Then later on, after everything goes to hell, he's flashing back to stuff that we already saw. So now it's a flashback within a flashback. And I was sitting there like, where's Doc Brown in like the space-time continuum here? Like something's going to get fucked up. Did I miss something?
Well, you know what I thought when I saw a flashback in a flashback? I thought, we're in a flashback, in a montage. We're flashing back, flashing forward, flashing back.
Speaking
flashing
of
forward.
montage, the sound. I need the soundtrack to this movie. I need the soundtrack to Bloodsport. It's got to be out there somewhere.
I'll talk about that in a little bit because okay, it's a good point. But after arriving in Hong Kong, clearly he took a Delta Flight 461. He was in aisle 14C. So Frank Dukes just ends up in Hong Kong and he befriends American fighter Ray Jackson and their guide Victor Lin. When they arrive,
and 3 seconds later, hey Frankie, you and me, Frankie. He's like the remember the Looney Tunes, the big dog and the little dog. Hey Spike, how are you, Spike? Come on, Spike, let's go, Spike. Like that. That's what these two reminded me of. After 2 minutes together, they're in love.
Yeah, fenced it. Don't forget the gravy. The officials. The officials are skeptical, but they accept him after Dukes provides his connection to the Tanaka clan by performing Groo the dim mock death touch. Yeah. Groo the dim mock death touch is like, I don't know, it looks like a Vulcan nerve pinch if you ask me. It's a martial arts technique reputed to kill using seemingly less than lethal force targeting a specific area of the body. Groo, on the first day of the tournament, Dukes earns the enmity of the ruthless Kumite champion Chong Li after breaking his record for the fastest knockout. Groo, those early fight sequences are pretty well done. Plus you got the music, Fight for Your Life, Kumite, Kumite. Groo, that takes us, the next leg of the movie. They set us up in Kumite. Ray Jackson, we got friendship. How do you feel the movie's progressing here?
It's progressing exactly as it's supposed to. I mean, this is plot-wise, this is a, paint by numbers, guy comes to underground fight club and the bad guy's not really a bad guy, he's just a bad guy. He's not really much of an antagonist, but it's basically about one man's journey to find himself in the art of Bloodsport. But
that's what the movie. That's what the movie's trying to sell you on.
Yeah, but
that is what they're trying to sell you on.
Exactly. But you know what? I was still all in. It was fun. I was enjoying it. I mean, I was enjoying how. I hate to say it because I think this theme is going to be recurring. I was enjoying how bad it was.
Oh boy!
Like
hold your.
Okay. No.
Go ahead.
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, we were talking about the dubbing. Like, the guy, there's a guy in the beginning, near the beginning. I forgot who it was, but the dubbing was so bad, but it seemed like they were doing it on purpose. And the same with young Van Damme and a bunch of the other, like it seemed like they were trying to almost satirize some of those old chop-socky movies, and it was distracting in a good way. It was unintentional laughter, but laughter is still laughter, and laughter is entertainment. So, but plot-wise, it's moving at lightning speed. It's going right along. We're jumping right into the action. They waste no time, except for that little Pee-wee's Playhouse chase scene that they had. But other than that, it's moving right along.
I never felt that the movie was trying to parody anything. I mean, they take themselves pretty seriously here.
Yeah, and I respect that, and I like that.
Okay. Dukes, here we meet American journalist Janice Kent. She's investigating the Kumite. Initially, Dukes refuses to help her, but she sneaks into the arena by agreeing to date with another spectator. And, of course, Groo, I will actually give you my first real massive complaint with the movie, as we see the different fighters from all over the world fight, and, of course, they fall into the very broad stereotypes. Of course, the Asian fighters are very technically sound martial artists. Ray Jackson, the American, of course, is the big, strong, not very technically savvy, but he's just going to beat the crap out of you. And, of course, Andrew, then there's the black African fighters.
Oh, God.
Who literally roll on the floor and literally make monkey-like movements as they're fighting. And Listen, I am no prude, but boy, I was like, wow, this is not aged well.
No,
I mean, this is a pretty low-hanging fruit stuff.
You know what? It's interesting how, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, I'm just saying it's interesting how they make a big deal. HBO Max did this for Gone with the Wind. Do you remember when they put Gone with the Wind on their service, and there were a lot of complaints because it's about the reconstruct or the Civil War South. I don't know if it's Civil War or Reconstruction. I haven't seen it in forever, but for the stereotypical views of African Americans, and they took it down and then they put it back up with a 5-minute video disclaimer about the racial stereotypes and how they were wrong then and they're wrong now, but this was made in 1939, and they did this big explanation for what they were about to see, and then they aired it, and then they aired it uncut and everything. But here we're watching stuff that's almost intentionally, it's fiction, and it's portraying those stereotypes in that way and not a peep. So I just find it interesting how so many movies fly under the radar where you get a high profile one, and that's the one that gets the disclaimer. Do you know what I mean? You didn't know that about Gone with the Wind.
I did. I think we referenced it on an earlier podcast. I'm not for any disclaimers on anything. Either you show the movie, you show the art, and you allow the viewer to make the judgment for themselves. You want to put something on your website, I have no problem. But to put something on in conjunction with the movie is completely wrong. Of course, I'm saying here, Andrew, I don't believe it's anything mean-spirited.
Of course it's not.
I just think... let me finish. I just think it's a sign of the times, and I think they're trying to show the diversity of the fighters in Kumite, but it's a bad look. It's a stereotypical. It's a broad look. I don't think it's. I'm not going to look into it any further. But I watched this and I was like, is this guy really trolling on the floor, waving his arms? It's not a good look in 2021.
And then he gets his ass kicked by an Asian. But
that's okay. I think.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, but if you're talking about stereotype, the title of this movie should be Stereotype. I mean,
what do you mean?
I mean, look at every kind of. All right, you got the big lovable, the Donald Gibb character. You got the damsel in distress. The blonde girl, who of course they're going to fall in love.
I've already laid all that out. So what's your point? What are you saying now? Roads are racist?
My point, no, I'm saying this movie covers, especially Asians. Every single stereotype that exists is in this movie. So,
I would say that action movies, Asian action movies, that there's some low-hanging fruit there. I don't think it was done in any kind of mean-spiritedness, but it's there. I just wanted to point it out. I was just like, wow, are they really going there with this movie? And they did. And again, I think it's a sign of the times. I don't think it's a reflection on anything personal or some kind of philosophy, but it's pretty wild to see, the African fighters, on all fours, swinging around, fighting in a very animalistic, monkey primate kind of way. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and to see it then, you wouldn't think twice about it, but watching it now, you cringe a little bit.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right, Groo, let's move on. On the second day, Ray Jackson is matched up against Chong Li. Ray Jackson has a moment. He hurts Chong Li, but he wastes time gloating, allows Chong Li to recover, and Chong Li, of course, viciously beats him down. And I think he stomps, gives him almost like a curb stomp right to the mat, knocks him out. Dukes visits Jackson in the hospital and vows to avenge him. After witnessing the brutality of the Kumite tournament, Janice Kent argues with Dukes and tries to convince him not to return. Of course, that's where he goes on his long, inspirational speech telling her, I'm trying to be the best Frank Dukes that I could be. Helmer and Rolls Groo arrive in Hong Kong, and they contact local police inspector Chen. They begin asking around for Dukes. They track him down to his hotel. Then, of course, I reference in my notes that crazy chase scene that Andy's already referenced. I've seen better chase sequences on Family Guy. And of course, Dukes arrives at the Kumite. Helmer and Rollins are waiting for them, along with Chen and 4 of his officers. In a pretty funny scene, he knocks out all of the officers and tasers them, and basically says, "I'll go with you at the conclusion of the tournament."
Yeah.
So we're setting up.
See you tomorrow.
So we're setting up the big final fight scene. Groo, we're going to see Dukes against Chong Li. Any final thoughts as we head into the main event?
Yeah, very surprising that we're going to see Dukes against Chong Li. I was not prepared for that. I really thought they'd go the other way and they'd give us Dukes versus Jackson, or maybe even let the girl get in the ring, something. But they went the other way. They threw me a curve. So this is the ending we all came to see, and we're going to get to see Van Damme beat up the bad guy, and we're looking forward to it. And he's going to take some hits himself.
We see prior to amp up the crowd, Chong Li had killed one of his opponents.
Yes,
and he conceals a salt pill in his waistband for the final match with Dukes.
All of a sudden, he's Mr. Fuji. Is that
Dukes?
Now, for those of you who think that might be racist, it's not. Mr. Fuji.
Stop it.
Mr. Fuji was a manager in the WWE who used to...
What is this, Gone with the Wind? You don't have to explain yourself to everybody.
But I,
Please.
Anyway.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, AOC. Let's go on with the podcast. Lee blinds him by crushing the salt pill, throws it into Duke's face, and it's just a great scene where Van Damme's character flashes back to those early training sequences with Senzo and how he was blindfolded, and of course he overcomes being blinded and defeats Chong Li. The next day he bids farewell to Kent and Jackson before returning to the United States with Helmer and Rollins. Groo, Bloodsport. Yeah.
Why would you do that to me?
I don't know.
Bloodsport it tries to be nothing more than it is. It knows what it is, and It doesn't try to be anything more.
I will say this. I like to interject.
Go ahead.
I thought Bolo Young was actually fucking great in this movie and was a highlight for me.
What?
Because he does play. Can I finish my point? Don't interrupt me. I thought he played the classic heel perfectly here. It is way over the top, but he confronts the crowd. He waves to the crowd. He feeds off their anger. He's got the salt pill. You could see along the way during the Kumite, he breaks the guy's leg at first. You could see he's amping up more and more until he literally kills an opponent in the ring. It's way over the top, but here I thought Bolo Young was actually really, really good in this movie.
I was reacting to. I mean, he wasn't really acting because it wasn't his voice.
Well, why would you say that though? So I mean,
because it's just it's just like
you're such an acting snob. Unbelievable.
I am. He's a presence, and yeah, he did. he did a terrific job.
Sorry.
But he's not playing Death of a Salesman.
I didn't say that. And I don't want you to say he did a good job if you don't feel he did a good job. I thought
he did a good job as to what
for a action hero villain, a martial arts villain. I thought he did a great job here. Yes,
I would have liked to have seen. I wasn't sold on the personal vendetta. Probably because I wasn't sold on the friendship to begin with, because it was just thrown together. So I would have liked I would have liked a little more of that.
I'll give you that the movie feels like a WWE storyline. It's very rushed.
Yeah.
It's very quick, and I'll talk about when I give my final review. I think that leads into one of my criticisms of the movie. But
okay,
if Bolo Young, I thought was. No, he's not. No, it's not Shakespeare. But I thought for the role, he actually did a very, very good job. Groo, what was the box office for Bloodsport? There was not a lot on Bloodsport that I could find, but I did find one small snippet saying that the U.S. box office. Go ahead. What do you think the U.S. box office gross for Bloodsport was? Oh yeah, how about this? I want you to guess the budget for Bloodsport versus the total gross in the United States. Go.
Okay, I'm going to guess the budget for the budget.
The budget.
The budget for Bloodsport. I'm going to say was about 13 to 15 million.
And what was the total gross?
And I'm going to say the total gross was about 22, 23 million.
All right, is that your final answer?
Yeah. Final answer.
Okay, Braxton, lock him in.
Lock him in.
All right, we're almost done, Braxton. He's giving me the look like he's got to go for a walk.
Oh,
Give me a few more minutes.
Oh, boy.
No, he's fine. Groo, you're a little off here. Bloodsport had a reported budget of $2.3 million and a U.S. box office gross of $11.7 million. Would you want to guess the total worldwide box office gross for Blood?
Well, if it's grossing $11 million in the States and they had a sequel, I would say I'm going to guess.
I like you talk. I'm
going to guess a worldwide total of $45 million.
You're good, my friend. $50 million worldwide,
right,
making it Cannon Group's most profitable film of 1988. I did have a question here, and I just want to say, Groo, in that case, not bad numbers overall for Bloodsport and one Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No, especially since Cannon is one that looks or looked more to foreign gross than it did to U.S. A lot of movies that we talk about, that we hear about, they're measured by how they do in the United States. But Cannon, they marketed... They signed all these guys who were popular all over the world, like Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Norris, and these guys have Bruce Willis. These guys have big overseas draws, so it doesn't surprise me about that.
Groo, what was the critical response to Bloodsport? Rotten Tomatoes, the review aggregate site, website reported a 40% approval rating based on 25 reviews, with an average rating of 4.67 out of 10. The site's consensus reads, "This is where it all began for the muscles from Brussels, but beyond Van Damme's athleticism, Bloodsport is a cliched, virtually plotless exercise in an action movie recycling." Metacritic, the film had a weighted average score of 29 out of 100 based on 5 critical reviews, indicating, quote, generally unfavorable reviews. Leonard Claddy of the Los Angeles Times wrote, "Hacking through the jungle of cliche and reservoir of bad acting in Bloodsport are some pretty exciting matches." Mitch Moody of Wine Connoisseur gave it a half star, saying, "Waitress, where's my glass of Chablis?"
Mitch. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I threw that in there. Van Damme was nominated for a Golden Raspberry Award for Worst New Star, but lost to Ronald McDonald in Mac and Me.
What?
Groo, Groo, Andrew Van Groothius, the proverbial floor is yours. It's the first big spot for Jean-Claude. Let's give you a final review and final thoughts on Bloodsport. How many vials of blood do you give Bloodsport?
I'm going to give Bloodsport 2 vials of blood because it is entertaining to watch, but you know you're watching Claptrap. But I will say that rewatching this after all these years, you can see why Van Damme became the star that he did. He commands the screen. He's in just about every frame of this movie, and he's got it. My guess is they let him keep his accent, but kept. I don't know why they didn't change his origin in the script, because it obviously wasn't written for him. Must have been written for somebody else because he's playing an American, but he's obviously not an American. But he does a great job with what he's given, and He kicks somebody, you believe it. He kills somebody, you believe it. And he's this. And I know he goes from here to like Kickboxer and Sudden Death, and he just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And this is a real good launching pad. It's kind of like Above the Law was for Steven Seagal. A lot of Steven Seagal fans like Above the Law. I look at Above the Law as kind of like a B movie that led to better movies like Under Siege and those. And this is like that. Bloodsport is like the B movie that leads to the bigger budgets, the better ones, even though there are some that are worse. But I really do enjoy watching it, but I have to give it 2 because I know in my heart it's just not a good movie. So
yeah, let's please stick to Van Damness, please. I don't want to reference Steven Seagal. Thank you.
Oh yeah, they hate each other. I forgot about that.
No, I'm only I'm joking.
But we gotta we should talk about that though.
All right, can we move forward with the podcast?
All right, yeah.
Well, we can. I'd like a heads up so I could properly research.
I had forgotten. I'd forgotten. What I know is
we had talked about it last podcast that they almost fought at Stallone's
That's true.
house.
Okay, yeah, we did. Yeah, that was one of your news items.
Yeah. All right, so you gave it 2 vials of blood. Let me tell you, Groo, what's good about the movie, what's bad about the movie, and then I will give you my final review. What's good about Bloodsport? It's got a great cast. Yes. It really does. I was surprised. And it's, solid acting. I agree with you. You see progression here with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He has a big-time jump from No Retreat to Bloodsport. Yeah. And I do agree with you. He commands the screen. He's not. Listen, he's not William Hurt, but he shows some acting chops here. He does a good job. I like the fight scenes for the most part. The movie, the fight scenes were pretty good, and I love Bolo Young here. I thought he did a great job in Chong Li. What's bad about this movie? The material is shit. I mean, it's some of the dialogue, the pacing. It's nonsensical. It is a lot of action movie cliches. I felt like with the message and even the music, it almost wants to be like Rocky 3, like this inspirational, and it just doesn't have the backstory to provide it. There's some real bad overacting in this movie. The Van Damme where he hits and he's ripped and the slow motion.
The rev up
maybe when I was, maybe when I was 19, I thought it was cool, but watching it now, I was like, oh my god.
I don't think we thought it was cool when we were 19.
And obviously, some of the stuff with the general stereotypes of the movie, it's not a good look. We already talked about that. Not to belabor that point, but I agree with you. I'll give it 2 vials of blood. At first, when I watched it the first time, I was like, this is not a good movie. The second watching, it softened me a little bit. You see, I fall in a different camp than Andrew. I might agree with you that it's a bad movie is enjoyable to watch only in the sense that it marks time. And, in 1989, and you get to see some of the kitschy stuff from Cannon and what a bad action movie is. I won't call this a bad action movie, but it's not a very, very good action movie. But it's definitely an improvement from No Retreat, No Surrender. So I agree with you. I'll stick with it. I'll give it 2 vials of blood.
Okay, so we agree on that.
All right, well, Groo, that is it for Bloodsport. That is it for this episode of Van Dammit. Groo, for our next Van Dammit podcast,
what are we
listen
doing?
Attentively, everyone, as Andrew and I will break down 1989's Kickboxer. It's the Van Damme Thai Kickboxing Revenge Actioneer. It's Kurt Sloan versus Tong Po. Groo, Kickboxer.
Very excited about this one. This was the first Van Damme movie, I think. No, I saw No Retreat, No Surrender in the movies, but I saw Kickboxer in the movies. This one looked good, and I was like, to me, this was like, okay, this is Van Damme. He's gonna go into the stratosphere here. So we'll find out next week. Did he or didn't he? But looking forward to Kickboxer.
Well, not next week. Next month.
Next month. Yeah.
Come on.
Next month. We'll try to get a little sooner than we did this time. We'll try.
I'm actually interested because, for me, there's a real gap on some of these movies. Like, literally, the last time I saw these movies was 1989.
Yeah.
And so I've been honest. I went into this. I would say I'm a fan of Jean-Claude, but I'm not I wasn't a huge fan, and so I haven't seen some of these movies in quite a while. So I'm interested to see the progression from Bloodsport to Kickboxer and see where his acting takes us.
Yes, and I can't wait to see Rosanna Arquette's breasts again in Nowhere to Run. Really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Listen, we could all agree about, in this divided world, we can all agree about Rosanna Arquette's breasts.
Yes,
we can all agree about that.
Thank you.
It's great next
to be an American. Oh, go ahead.
Well, next week we will be in our home state of New York. Nothing Worthwhile with Moody and Groo. We're going to call it New York State of Mind. Content to be determined at a later date, but we will be podcasting live from New York State of Mind, Nothing Worthwhile, Moody and Groo reunited back in New York, Merrick, Long Island. Groo, any thoughts?
Very excited. As always, this time of year, we are looking forward to getting back to our home turf. It's been 2 years since we've been there, but we're going to be coming at you with our next Nothing Worthwhile, our New York State of Mind Spectacular, which will air next weekend, Friday or Saturday, or maybe both. Never know how much time we're going to have or how much time we're not going to have, but the 19th and 20th of November, which will be next weekend. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, from Van Dammit, from Nothing Worthwhile, from the last of the Action Heroes podcast, this is Moody and Groo saying,
no retreat
and no surrender.